This time on shift points, we quieten the truck down just a little bit for power tour so that we can actually hear each other when we ride in the cab. Thanks for joining. So I told you guys last time that we were working on trying to get some of this nitpicky stuff done on the truck, one of them being the headliner. We wanted to get the headliner in because we bought it and we wanted to kind of give that truck a good finish look, and I think that would do it well. But the other thing is a super functional part of it, which is to try and get some Dynamat, a nice thick layer of foam up in there to make sure that we can kind of make this thing less of an oven if we can. So you saw the old insulation or whatever it was that's up in there that looks like it got put in with tar. It's terrible and really hard to get out without just making a huge mess and just taking a bunch of time. And the Dynamat we have will not stick to that. We put it on it and it would just basically fall off after just a few minutes. So what we decided was, we're like, why don't we just stick the Dynamat onto the headliner directly? So you can see here, what we did is there's these trim pieces here that that kind of give some rigidity to the headliner itself, and then this is the front of the headliner. And then what we did, we just took this big layer of Dynamat, and you can see stuff's probably 3/4 of an inch thick or so, and got that stuck on there. And so the plan is to take this now and just set this whole assembly up into the truck and get it in place, and then we'll do the same thing to the other piece. It's a 2-piece headliner. We'll do the same thing to this to the second piece of headliner, and that'll keep basically the whole top of the cab insulated. You know, there'll probably be a little bit of a there'll be the top of this, there'll be probably just a little air gap, maybe not much, probably it'll almost be touching then of the foam, and then there'll be the headliner, and that's really going to insulate this a lot. So I think that'll be really nice to have. So I wanted to show you guys that piece of it first, just so you knew kind of what it looked like. I think probably the other thing that I need to do real quick before we stick this up in there is getting a ground wire run up there. We figured out why this dome light's not working. I haven't got it fully fixed yet, but we need 2 wires up there. So I'm going to go ahead and run another wire up there real quick before we get this in place, even if I just end up having to just kind of tie it up to get us through, because we don't have to have a dome light by any means. So I think I'm going to do that next, then we'll get this headliner in place. I think it's going to make a big difference in the heat in this truck, because it gets really hot in here. So we got the first piece done. Let me show that here. So you can see how it goes in. There's that piece of trim back here, and then it gets held up here, and there's that other piece of trim on the other piece that'll cup into that. But basically what we did was we put this trim strip in, put like 4 screws in it and loosely, and then took this cardboard and slid it in place there, and then tightened up all the screws and put all the screws in and tightened them all up, and that got us to this point. Now we're gonna bring the other piece in and try and slide it into this and see if we can see how hard it's gonna be. That's gonna slide into this, the end of this, it'll support it, and then that goes all the way down into this rubber seal here, so it goes all the way down into that. And that should get us lined up, but me and Dad are going to do that next. Okay, it was a bit tough, but we did get it in place, and it looks really good. It's definitely was worth it, and that Dynamat being up in there is gonna help a bunch. We went ahead, and I should have showed it, but I didn't think about it. We were so into it. I actually was able to take Dynamat and put in these corners also. So once we put this one piece in place, I took and slid a piece back and stuck it in the corner, and another one here in this corner. So that was able to, we've got basically the whole roof, you know, the curves here in the roof, and then the flat pretty much completely covered. So like I said, it was a bunch of work, but I think that was worth the effort. We do still need to kind of figure out the holes for the rear view mirror, and for this side if possible, if we can, for the other sun visor. Thank you. For the other sun visor, it was leaving me there, so we'll get that put in place. But Dad's working on the weather stripping also. That was another thing to put off our list, so we can go ahead over here and mark off one thing, which is Dynamat and roof, and install headliner. So those are 2 things. Door panels, seat back cover, that's probably not going to happen. We're just going to mark that off for now. That's probably not going to get done. That's fine. We ordered a windshield wiper assembly this morning because we decided that that piece that's in there, as you guys saw, well, it just doesn't work very well. And it's definitely some sort of universal fit, something or other. They make a kit, the truck shop down in Concord, North Carolina, they make a kit, conversion kit for this truck. We ordered it this morning, should hopefully be here in a day or 2, and then we're going to put that in place, and hopefully that'll just solve that issue altogether, so we won't have to deal with crappy windshield wipers, or have to just carry a bunch of bottles of Rain-X, as I keep saying. So we did order that, so hopefully that'll get here soon enough. If it doesn't get here, then we will need those bottles of Rain-X. Dad's working on the door weather stripping. I'm not going to mark it off just yet, but we'll get that knocked off soon. I know how to fix the dome light. I just have to get a new housing, or a different style bulb. That one's got a single pin bulb, where what Ron Francis needs is a double pin bulb up there. So I went ahead and run the other wire. You had to run a ground wire and a power wire up there. So I went ahead and got both of those run before we installed the headliner, and that was another thing I did off camera. Got those run down, and they're ready to wire up. So all that's because I can get to the dome light without getting through the headliner. So that's all in place. So we're marking things off kind of quickly here. It's working out good. We're just going to keep checking away at it, plucking away as we go, and just do what we can. So I told you guys I got I think I have it figured out for the dome light. The old bulb that was in it was a single pin bulb and it had one single filament. What it calls for Ron Francis, because you're going to run a 12 volt power up there to the light, and you're also running the ground down to the headlight switch. So when you rotate that headlight switch, it clicks on, it makes ground and lets power flow to the light bulb so that it lights up. What you need when you do that is you can get these at the Napa store. It's where we ended up getting them. Paula was able to help me figure this out. This little pigtail here, it'll fit in there. I can get the part number, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it does fit inside of this housing perfectly. And this is a 1004 style light bulb. It's got 2 pins on the bottom of it, but it's got a single filament inside of it, so it's just power and ground over here. So like I said, I've already got up here and run these wires out. This is the power, this will be the ground. I'm gonna go ahead and get this connected up. I've already made this with these spade connectors on this side, so we can plug it in, unplug it in, and disconnect it. But yeah, so that's going to let us make this work, I hope. So let's find out. It works. Initially, I thought I was somehow gonna get grounded because it was staying on all the time, but actually, this headlight switch, I had it just kind of just off. And if it was just a little bit over, it would stay on. So you can see kind of how sensitive it is. But if you twist this plenty off, it's all good. Everything's how it needs to be. It's probably really loud with that drilling. I'm gonna put the cover back on this guy, and we will have that completed. This switch here is now completely bypassed. It's just the pigtail coming off of that. It's just aesthetics. So I'm gonna throw the cover back on, and that'll have one more thing that we can cross off the list. That's one more thing. Fixed. Dad's working on installing the horns right now. What's your plan on the horns?
Drill 2 holes, put a nut and a washer on it.
Where you got? Where at?
Right here.
Oh, okay,
on
cool.
Each side.
Okay, perfect.
That's marked right. This is marked left.
Okay.
We'll put them right here and clear the belts.
Okay.
Just hang.
Just have to pull that wire up and run it to it, and then
Hang like that right there. And that tab will keep it from trying to rotate or flop back and forth.
okay.
We've got 4-inch slot nuts on them, so it should just. That should work just right there, I think.
Cool. He gets those installed, and all I've got to do is under here. Like I told you guys before, I already got the wires already run, so just got to run them up to it, connect them up. That'll be ready to go too. Checking things off.
We're back working on this 55 Chevrolet truck. Decided to put an H-pipe on this thing. There's a little horsepower in them, but mostly what I'm trying to do is quieten it off just a little bit. It's got boiler mufflers on it, boiler exhaust that we built, and I didn't have time to build the rest of it, and I was a little bit concerned about the H-pipe that we get. It's just a universal H-pipe kit from Jegs. The part number on it is 30531. I was a little bit concerned about the quality, but it looks good. I mean, it's not bad looking piece. So we're going to try to cut the tubing and tie these two sides together. Maybe it'll quieten it off a little bit, but that's what we're into today.
Okay, I am back. I think Mom and Dad kind of showed you what the plan was here with this H-pipe under here, and this is Dad's got the rear part of the exhaust cut off here, and he's got the H-pipe he's working on installing it right here. So this T here slides up on the piece that's left there that's attached to the exhaust manifolds, and then this H-pipe runs across and goes over to the other side here. So you can see that if we take in, okay, you go. Take this, and he's gonna get that put back over here in place. Pick up on it, I think. There you go. Pick up on it, I think. There you go, hit it now. There we go. So you can see kind of what that'll look like, and then it'll run back and go back into those existing hangers that were already there. So it's gonna look good. So Dad also, the kit that he bought came with a V also to give it just a little bit more clearance on the drive shaft, so I think he's going to try that next. While he's been working on this, I've been working on the horns. So he went ahead and got some spots in the inner fenders here. You can see these holes that he's drilled. So we're going to mount the horns right there. So one will go here, one will go over there on the other side. So I've already got the wires run up here. They're terminated. Had to do a little changing. Basically on these, right there's the ground strap, there's the power. I tested this one already this morning and it works. Took it out to the truck and just hooked it up to 12 volts straight, and got a little beep out of it, so that's gonna work good. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that wrapped up, get a bolt so I can attach that up there and ground it, and then we can go ahead and get those mounted too, and that'll be two pretty big, well, one's pretty small, mine's pretty small, but the big job is Dad working on that H-pipe, but we'll get both of those knocked out. Alright, so Dad got this put in. I told you he was going to look into this V, and this helps a bunch. It gives us a bunch of clearance on the drive shaft and all that. The other part of it is these pipes aren't just perfectly parallel running forward or backwards here, so this kind of helps you. You can kind of twist this, and it kind of helps, you know, get everything evened out. It corrects the angularity. So that has helped a bunch. That's going to work really well. Like I said, that's definitely why they send this, to give you a little more clearance here and to help you with this adjustment if your pipes aren't just perfectly parallel, which would be very hard to do on anything, especially this thing. So that's in. Now he's just got to put the mufflers back on and run the turn downs and all that stuff, and we'll have this wrapped up, get it clamped on, and be good. Looks good. All right, and Dad got it in. So you can see everything is up. Mufflers are mounted where they were. All of this still is right where it was. We have this H-pipe in place now, all clamped in. So we haven't even started yet, so we don't even know what difference it made. Should have quietened it off some, but it's gonna be interesting. So we got that in there, so let's fire it up and see what it sounds like. Oh, I quietened it off a bunch. Yeah, that made a big difference. That made a huge difference. What?
Took a lot
car pop out.
Yeah, it did. The other thing that I got done while Dad was doing that is we have horns. They work pretty good. Those are Corvette horns.
Yep.
Corvette horns, and let me show you where we finished getting them mounted up. They're mounted one right here. Need to make sure the wires aren't against anything. And then the other one's mounted right there. So
They are marked right and left.
and they're marked, yeah, they are marked right and left, and they do clear everything very well. So that's another little job here that I can go ahead and take our marker and mark that off. List is getting, this is like 50% done maybe, and then this shouldn't take just a minute to do. This is ordered, I already said that. And door panels, we'll see. Power port's supposed to be here Monday, and this should be about a 10-minute thing. So we are getting this list wired way down. I guess I should write H-pipe on here. And write it on there just to mark it off. Cool. That's a couple little and one pretty big job knocked out just this morning. Alright, Dad's going to take this thing up to Patton tonight, but I'm going to Tri-County. But I want to see what this thing sounds like with the H-pipe with it on the ground, because I think it's going to be a major difference. Oh, that's amazing how much quieter it is. So I think between that, got a headliner in it now with Dynamat above it, some things like that. Got the solid seat back in now. Got some towels pushing the seat forward to hold it in place.
Mine went the wrong way.
It's gonna be kind of like a
Mine need to go toward the back.
like a different truck. So let's see what happens as they take it out tonight, and then I guess we'll find out tomorrow. So today was a little bit of a quick day of doing a little bit of work. Didn't really film any of it. We were kind of playing with the tune a little bit. Matt, we'd had some issues, not issues, but the 1-2 shift on this thing was a little weird. It was like it was hitting the rev limiter before it would ever shift. And anyway, we worked on it a little, didn't get it really where we want it, but we also decided probably not a bad idea just to leave this thing alone, stop going wide open throttle all the time with it until we get back from Power Tour, make sure everything's good with it, get us through, because we're literally a week from tomorrow is when we leave. So let's just keep it all in one piece. The last thing we need to do is grenade a transmission or a engine. So we played with that a little, but other than that, we've got some parts coming in. So really, this is just kind of a middle step. We're supposed to have the parts for the windshield wipers tomorrow. We're supposed to have a few things like the heater duct hosing or the heater duct work and stuff like that. That's also supposed to be here tomorrow. So the evenings of this coming week are going to be busy. Just trying to get all this little stuff kind of wrapped up. I mean, the windshield wipers is kind of a big something. Pretty much as soon as those land, we need to get them in. So we got a big week ahead of us, getting ready for Power Tour. Very, very excited. Truck is doing really good. Dad and Mom took it up to Patton yesterday and did the cruise in up there. We didn't get any footage. Again, try and let people, rest a little. I'm sure they get tired of hearing about this all the time anyway. But he said it did really good, no codes. The H-pipe quietened it off so much. We were driving around earlier. I don't know if the camera would ever do it justice, but there was a point when we were driving this thing, me and Dad, we would have to just about yell at each other, and now it's comfortable. We can talk just basically like this and have a conversation, no problem. So that was definitely worth the effort to do. My dome light has been, the socket that we got is actually pushed up against the housing and was grounded out, and it was staying on. So we have to get a different socket, but luckily I put plugs on it so we can just unplug that socket and take it out if we need to, so that's no big deal. But we got to get a little better socket. So little things, but a lot of things coming this week. So let's get to it. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to sleep, and then we'll get to it. So we got that H-pipe put in. We did all this other work, quite a bit of this little task that we wanted to add up and kind of get going with this. So that's definitely adding up some time. I'm gonna have to turn this. I have filmed so much at this point leading up to this. I'm gonna kind of turn this into a 2-part deal. So this is part 1 with the H-pipe and them going up to Patton Avenue, working on the tune just a little bit and things like that, and some of these other little tasks. And then some of the other little tasks that kind of start to add up will be in part 2 of this video. So thank you guys for joining. That video will come up tomorrow. It'll go up on Saturday instead of Friday like normal. So we'll have that up on Saturday. Thank you guys for joining. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and press that button in the middle whenever you want, whenever it pops up. And also, if you go to our social media on Instagram and Facebook, if you follow there, there's also a link there and a QR code. So subscribing to our channel is literally as easy as it's ever been. If you click that link, it'll take you directly to our channel and ask you if you want to subscribe. All you gotta do is press yes. It's as simple as it can be. So thank you guys for doing that. It means a lot. It's very helpful. And we'll see you tomorrow.